So, we're up to book 9, and since I finished my Ursula stuff, I am able to hit my to be read pile. So we're just starting to go through my to be read pile. I've got a huge to be read pile. I had put it aside for finishing up the Ursula books. If you haven't seen my video the other day on Share, please go check that out. I tell Sunny's side of the story just a little bit. Welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina Kairos, Tina. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy smancy stuff going on here. And this is book 9. In the Gilded Age Mysteries. You know I like these. Rosemary Simpson. If you have not seen my Victoria Thompsons, please go check those out. Brian and Sarah and Frank and the whole gang must go check all those out. I can't wait for the next one to come out. That reminds me, I need to go check on that. So this is book 9. It's in New York. Similar situation as Victoria Thompson's books. They used to, and they've stopped doing it, which it was you see me, if you watch the earlier videos, you will see me rant about this. During this time period, a young lady couldn't go out alone. She had to have a maid with her and all this kind of societal stuff. And sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't in the first couple books. And it was just irritating as all hell because she would do it like one chapter and then she wouldn't do it the next chapter and then she'd do it again. And it just, ugh. So finally, the author just ditched the idea completely and just let it go. So Prudence is a very wealthy lady. She started off engaged to this guy and he ended up getting murdered in the first book. And her father died, I think, in the first book too. And so she's been working with Joffrey ever since. She has now gotten her law degree. So they have a partnership. They have a little bit of inquiry agency. It's a detective agency, but they call it inquiry. So it's Prudence and then Joffrey. And then Josiah is their secretary. And then they have some friends, Ben and Clyde and Lydia. And we have Danny, their cab driver. He has the horses. And there's a couple other people that are consistently regulars in the series. But those are your little core for this group. Then you have your extras in this book. You have Flora, who's an actress. You have Septimus Ward, who is also an actor. He's a playwright. He's written a play. And he's he was in love with Flora. You're led to believe she sort of not really kind of reciprocated, just a smidge, not really though. But he wrote this play and he wanted her to star in it. And he met this guy Barrett Hughes, and Barrett Hughes said he would produce it, but he wanted his name on the play as writer. And him and Septimus did a handshake, which was totally wrong, because later on Septimus decided that he wanted some credit for it. But because Septimus had given Barrett the only copy of it, the idiot, there was really no way to prove. Because the reason that Septimus had given Barrett the full rights to produce it was because he agreed to have Flora star in it. And it was going to be a really, really good play. And Septimus was really stupid for doing that. And he tried to confront Hughes and renegotiate. And Hughes was like, you said this, So there was a battle going on there. And then when Septimus ends up dead, all eyes are pointed on Barrett. The whole book, you're like, Barrett's wrong. Then you learn Barrett did a really rotten, horrible thing in his early days. And there's been a young lady who's been a little bit on the suffering side for it ever since. And one of the characters has to go and talk to her about it. And then she was gonna, I think we didn't get it because I kept thinking that we might get this little bit of a climax of a confrontation scene, but that didn't happen. So that was kind of, I don't know if I was happy that didn't happen or sad that didn't happen. After all their different lead up to it, all their big conversations about it, it just went flat. There were several different, um, we had the actual incident told to us. We had the several different characters discuss it. Then these characters discussed it, and then it just fell. It just was like, oh, I feel better now, and that was the end of it. And I'm like, huh? There was no real resolution to it. She just came to a mental agreement with herself or something. Don't know. But so we still have the murder, and then another person in the cast gets murdered. So now you have two people dead in the cast. And then you have a third and fourth person, because Prudence and Lydia go undercover in this play to try to find out what's going on, and they both end up injured. And so that's not good either. And in the midst of all this, something that we've been waiting for a long time, although it's only been 8 books, but it's been a little you expected it a long time ago. A long time ago. And I mean, Victoria Thompson took like 17 books, but that's because she needed a really good idea. And there's a whole story behind that, and it's awesome. I like the guy in her class. But anyways, so spoiler alert, the big event happens, but doesn't happen. You've been waiting for the big question to be asked. The big one. The one that gets a ring on the finger. And because, like I said earlier, Prudence and Lydia get hurt. And Prudence ends up with some burns, and Joffrey is stressing and heart-wrenching. And he has the engagement ring in his pocket, and he's been carrying it around for a while. So while she's unconscious, he slips it on her finger. And when she wakes up, she says yes. And that's the extent of your romantic gesture. Like, what was the point? And she's like, at the end, we get a little wedding discussion. It's cute because Prudence is like, let's just go over to City Hall. And Josiah and Lydia and Joffrey are like, you're part of the 400. You need to have a church wedding, and you need to have 300 or 400 guests. And like, good grief. Good grief. Where are all these people gonna come from? I don't think either one of them have family members. I think, well, Prudence may have distant cousins, but her immediate family is deceased. I believe her brother and her father are deceased. I believe that all happened in the first book, if I remember correctly. So, we don't really get too much mention of Prudence and becoming a lawyer, but she had been doing that stuff in the books previous to this one. So it's progressing. But that's your main storyline. That this guy wrote this play, and it was going really well. His girlfriend was going to be the lead, and it was the whole reason for the negotiation, because when he offered it to the guy and said, look, you can have this, but she's got to have the lead, he was like, okay, fine, yeah, that'll work. And then when Septimus was like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have asked for money, or maybe I should have asked for something in writing or something like that said that I actually wrote it and had proof of writing, but none of that happened. So there's a lot of regrets in what went down with Septimus, and you kind of feel bad for the guy that he got murdered. But and then there's another conclude. Well, like the whole book, you're you're led down this path, and you get smidgens, like a paragraph here, about not so fast. It may not be who you think it is. It may be somebody else. And then you get this unforeseen twist. The author decides, wait a minute. Somebody else thinks that somebody else deserves justice. And this character comes out of the blue. They've been in the book, substantially periodically, and they're supposed to be a trusted person in the cast. They're in your core group. They're on the fringes of the core group, what should I say? And this person takes it upon themselves to decide their own type of justice, should I say? So, excuse me. So that's basically Prudence and Joffrey are your partners, who will hopefully be married in the next book. Lydia is her friend. Benjamin is Lydia's father. Clyde, and he's blind. And Clyde is his bodyguard and protector. They believe someone is after Benjamin. James Kincaid is her coachman. Danny also does a cabbing. And Danny has some people he's training. And he has the dog, which is cute as all hell. Love the dog. And then you have Flora and Septimus Ward and Barrack Hughes and a whole bunch of additional Gertrude Morrow. Tessa is the landlady. You have a whole bunch of substantial secondary characters that show up that play a significant role in the book. So, go check it out. We'll have to wait till next year for the next book. That's what's, you do a binge read, and then you're like, you get to the last book, and now you gotta wait a year. It really sucks. But, so if you could please hit the like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And if you could please check out Flashback Mondays and If Then Fridays. May's gonna be fun. We've got military, we've got romance, we've got knitting. I don't know what was I thinking with the knitting, but I went there. It was cute. So if you could please hit the like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And thank you for tuning in.